Hello and welcome, my name is Ryan, I'm also known as RM2K Dev. Today in this video, I just wanted to make a quick one to show you guys a really simple input mechanic. Now, the reason for this is I saw a comment on an earlier video where someone was doing a, if keyboard pressed left, then, x minus equals 1. If keyboard pressed equals right, then x plus equals 1. And I just thought, well, look, there is a more efficient and faster way of doing that. So here it is, the quick input system. I've just created a sprite. It's just a little circle, and I've got a room where I've made an object and placed the object in the middle. And we're just going to go into the object editor for object player. I'm going to add an event, and this event is going to be of type step. And I'm going to drag a code segment to that event. Now, what I wanted to show you here is that we can get a full movement system with very minimal code. And the way we're going to do it is we're just going to say input underscore x is going to be equal to, this will be keyboard check, and I'm just going to use I'll just use arrows for this, vk underscore left. And then we want to say plus keyboard underscore check vk underscore right. Now, obviously, that's not going to work because the way this works is if keyboard check returns true or false, which is Boolean, it's 0 or 1. If the button isn't pressed, it returns false, which is a mathematical 0. So if no buttons are pressed, we have 0 plus 0 equals 0. If a button is pressed, we would have 1 plus 1, or if left was pressed, we would have 1, and if right was pressed, we'd have 1, and if they're both pressed, we'd have 2, because 1 plus 1 is 2. So let's just go ahead and apply that to the x. I'm just going to x plus equals input underscore x. And we'll do the same thing for y, and I'll show you why this doesn't work, and I'll show you how we fix it after. I just want to show you what happens first. So I'm going to do the same thing for y. So now we have an input check for left, for left, right. Now we need up and down. So let's just go up, and also we'll add down in there. Now, obviously, what's going to happen is these are only going to move in one direction. So I'm going to run it. I'll say what I'm doing with the keyboard, and I'll show what happens. So I'm pressing left, the player moves to the right. I'm pressing right, the player moves to the right. I press up, the player moves down. I press down, the player moves down. Obviously, that's wrong, but we can fix it. And all we need to do is multiply the left and up by -1. Because anything times 0, I'm going to write this as a comment. So anything times 0 is 0. So if we had 0 times 0, it's 0. If we had -1 times 0, sorry, I put the wrong thing there. -1 multiplied by 0, it's still 0. So therefore, when we're not pressing left, it's 0. When we are pressing left, it's 1. So -1 times by 1 is going to be equal to -1. And that's a quick way that we can get input working. So I'm just going to say -1 multiplied by keyboard left. I'm just going to do my brackets on that. There we go. -1 multiplied by up. And I'll put some brackets on that as well, just so that we have proper, I don't know what you call it around the world. We called it BIMDAS when I was growing up. Anyway, BIMDAS, that's BIMDAS. Google it. But essentially what we've done here is we've said -1 multiplied by whatever the result of this is. If it's 0, this entire statement becomes 0. If it's 1, this entire statement becomes 1. What we should have here is a complete 8-directional movement system. We have up, I'm pressing up. We have down, I'm pressing down. We have left, I'm pressing left. We have right, I'm pressing right. And we didn't need to do this horrible thing if keyboard check. I'm going to show you the traditional way of doing this. VK underscore left. Then we go and say x minus equals 1. And some people, depending on who they are and where they learned to program, will just do this, 4 or 5 times with a bunch of different if statements. Other people will do an else if on the 2 statements like this, or they'll just continue doing else ifs like this, which is going to cause you a bug moving in multiple directions a bit later. And other people will separate the 2 together. So if we're moving left, that takes priority. Otherwise, we're moving right. So that's a very quick way of doing an input system in GameMaker. The nice thing about this is that it's kind of like working with a joystick, because input X is going to be -1 to 1. So I'll write that down. input x is going to be equal to -1 to 1. It's a range value. And that's the same as working with a gamepad. Now, the fantastic thing about doing it this way is that you can then quite easily translate your game to gamepad controls simply by replacing this statement with something along the lines of, I don't have a gamepad connected right now, so I'm not going to be able to demo this, but you would say input x equals gamepad, I think it's get axis value, device 0, let's just call this GP underscore axis left horizontal, LH. And that's also going to return you a value -1 to 1. Therefore, you will be able to translate your game's input mechanics from keyboard checks to gamepad checks very easily. So it's just a quick way of doing it. I just thought I'd come up with this quick video and show you guys this little quick tip. From this point, obviously, some people might say, oh, but the movement's too slow now. So, you can go ahead and say multiply by 4. Or if you wanted to be a little bit more creative, you could go ahead and add a create event, drop some code in here and say movement speed equals 4. And then you could just multiply these values by movement speed. And then you're going to get the same thing, because if it was -1 multiplied by 4, you're going to have -4. If it's +1 multiplied by 4, you're going to have 4. And again, anything multiplied by 0 is 0, so nothing works. If you push down left and then right, it cancels the input because you can't move left and right together. If you push down right and then left, it cancels. If you push down up and down, it cancels, and down and pressing up at the same time also cancels. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that video. If you did, please go ahead and smash that like button. I want to see 1,000,000 likes on this video. That's a realistic number. I'm just kidding, not really, but please go ahead and drop some likes on there. Comments, questions, suggestions, feedback, cooking recipes, whatever you got, throw it in the comment section below this video, and I will catch up with you all in the next video. Bye for now.